Um, I want to introduce my guest. She is Queen's Counsel Valerie Neita Robertson, one of Jamaica's foremost attorneys at Queen's Counsel. And when you get Queen's Counsel, you're something very big. You know, for those of us who don't live in Jamaica, we're not Jamaicans. This is from the British system.
That's
And I
right.
think when she goes to court, she wears all white and black and all that kind of good stuff.
I
I
was
like it.
also,
I like that uniform you guys wear. You know, it's really nice.
we finally did away with the wig because I'm telling you
You did
that
away with the wig. Okay. I
the
think
white wig, the
when
straw
I see
wig.
the people in Nigeria and those places, they're still wearing this wig, you know, but
That's right.
everybody will get there at
Vestige
some
of the
point.
colonial days.
Right? I think you're a little low. So if anything, try to give me some more volume. I don't know if it's me. I'm gonna see if I can increase volume on mine to
Yeah,
see. Yeah,
hearing me
could be me.
better.
I think it's me. I think it's mine. Yeah, I
Okay.
turned on the volume.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm up. Hmm.
No, you're good. You're good. It's on my side. Right. So, and if it's not loud enough, sometimes even the recording will be affected itself because I wasn't hearing you, and then I think it also governs the recording. All right.
I'm
So,
hearing you loud.
excellent. So, what the thing I want to do is ask you a little bit if you can, if you know, I had on Andre to come on
Yeah.
with us this evening again, but early this morning I got a text from him. He showed me some clips, some
Hmm.
shots and a video. He was doing a live, and he was having a lot of issues. And I think he
Yes.
might have been hurt in the whatever was going on.
Hmm.
And I saw a couple of about four shots, still shots, and there was a
Hmm.
little bit of blood here, a little blood here, across his
Yes.
forehead and thing.
Yes.
So he's having some kind of problem, some kind of issue, and
Yes.
we just want to hope that he he has found, and things are much better now. He said he wanted to rest. He was recommended by his doctor to rest. So whatever it was must have upset him in such a way that he kind of just was off center. So we just want
Yeah.
to wish.
As I told him that those who want to harm him obviously cannot directly harm him.
Mm,
So
mm,
use people around him
mhm,
to aggravate a situation and cause problems. But
mm.
he's dealing with it in the legal forum, so
Okay,
I suspect he'll be okay.
okay. So he asked to beg off for the evening.
Right,
He has
right.
even offered himself to come back on Tuesday. When he
Yeah,
feels
he's
better.
okay. Yeah.
So with that, I just want to let people know that it wasn't anything with us and Andre why he's not here. Is he had a problem of his own, his own settings. All right, so now with us, and we have the very capable and able and knowledgeable attorney QC with us again. QC Valerie Neita Robertson, one of Jamaica's foremost attorney. When you think of attorneys, you think maybe about of PJ Patterson and those guys. That's the rank that this lady falls in. Yeah, that's why I see you. But so you don't have to introduce yourself again like I did the first time. But first and foremost, what is happening in Jamaica today? Because do you feel when you're in Jamaica, you feel like things are just falling apart, or
Yes.
you feel like things are under control? What do you think?
Um.
I,
Well, we who live in speaking for
give me
myself.
give me 1 second. I just want to get a little bit of water, and
Yes.
but so keep talking. I'm hearing you.
Okay. Put something in the water.
I should. Thank you. All right, let me get the
Well,
right glasses. Yeah, go ahead.
um, those of us in Jamaica feel that things are deteriorating.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm hearing you.
Um, I mean, we
Uh, oh, you're having a hanging up.
know for the last 2 years has okay.
No, you were kind of breaking for a second.
Okay, yes. So we know the COVID is creating a problem with the economy. But the biggest problem we have now is the crime. That is the most concerning issue we have in Jamaica now. And, most Jamaicans are of the view that crime is just not an issue for the government, because of the stage at which it is at now, and that each of us, each and every one of us, we have to put our shoulders to the wheel and try to help to resolve this problem.
Mhm.
My concern is that this has to be led by the government. Government is was elected to deal with these issues, and in fact, Andrew Holness promised that we would sleep with our doors open and windows open. Well, we have not been able to do that. So my concern is very simple. There are experts who deal with crime. When you look at crime, Stafford, you have to look at cause and effect.
Mhm.
What is causing the crime? What is causing these people to behave like this? Um, I mean, it has reached a level in Jamaica now that people are scared to go out in the night. People are scared to even go anywhere alone, because you don't know who will get a hit job on you. You don't know who you talk to, whose toes you step on. And somebody comes, takes out a money and comes to kill you.
Mhm.
So Jamaicans in the diaspora, I like to talk to them. You guys make such a great contribution to the GDP of this country through remittances. In fact, years ago, I suggested to my party, the People's National Party, that we look at amending the constitution, putting in legislation to allow Jamaicans abroad to vote. Because you guys live in a first world, you know the importance of law and order. We have no law and order in Jamaica. So looking at the crime, Stafford, um, we in the legal fraternity see it from two positions. Um, when you look at the crime, you have to try to contain it. That's the first thing. You have to try to contain what is happening now. So, how do you contain what is happening now? Um, to try to suppress it and contain it, you have the SOE, state of emergency, and to some extent the ZOZO. But the ZOZO is hardly used.
Mhm.
Um, it is the SOE. And
Mhm.
of course, the sociologists like Dr. Herbert Gale at UWI
Mhm.
will tell you that you can't overuse the SOE, because when you bring about the SOE, you really dispense with human rights
Mhm.
during the period that the SOE exists
Mhm.
in the particular areas that they are put. And we have been trying that for a long time, the SOEs, and they have not been as effective as we would like. And that is
Mhm.
very simple, Stafford.
Mhm.
The SOEs are put in certain areas. And yes, they will suppress and contain crime in that area because the criminals migrate to other areas.
Mhm.
So when you go in a community and you detain a whole host of young people and you keep them in custody for long periods of times in conditions that are very inhumane and poor, really poor, what you are doing is exacerbating the problem. What I mean by that, you are you are letting these people no longer see the police and the soldiers as community friendly.
Mhm.
They view them in a hostile way. So you really, as I said, exacerbating the problem. But
Mhm.
the SOEs do have some value in
Mhm.
that they do suppress and contain for a limited time. So what are the other things that can be done in relation to the reduction of crime? Well, crime is being caused mainly, that's what the statistics say, by gangs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our gangs have grown in Jamaica to well over. I hear the police say you have at least 300 gangs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the reliability of that, but I know that there are some prominent gangs in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at the reduction of crime and your greatest opponent are gangs, to my mind, you have to first tackle the issue
Mm-hmm.
of um, giving the young people who gangs recruits, they
Mm-hmm.
recruit the young and they prey on the young because the young have needs.
Mm-hmm.
These are poor youth.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at doing the things that will cause the young people not to join the gang because it's not worth it. You have to give them alternatives
Mm-hmm.
to joining the gang. What are those alternatives? To my mind, um, firstly, proper policing, community policing is one of the areas that we have to build. You remember that when those two young ladies from St. Thomas were abducted,
Yeah.
it was citizens who had the information, knew the person,
Mm-hmm.
and knew the layout of the land, who were able to help the police to recover them. So, without a doubt, we need the help of citizens to resolve crime. And so, community policing, building a good relationship um, between the police and every citizen in this country is of great importance. We've been talking about it for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but we have done nothing to improve
Mm-hmm.
uh, the relationship.
All right. So you have laid out a nice picture of an ugly situation.
Yes.
Um, do you think the question I want to ask you? Do you think, and I hope you didn't answer this already, and I'm going to ask you again. But do you think that they've lost control? Is that whatever, maybe because of this lack of a crime plan, and it is now manifesting in this way that they have lost control? Because what can they do at this time? We understand the young people need something needs to be done for them and all that kind of stuff. But does it feel like, really feel like somebody has lost control? And if it has lost control,
Yes.
why are
Yes.
the citizens up in arms over it? What is going on with
There,
it?
we don't have the impression that the government has a plan. Their only plan is the SOE. And
With
over the last 2 years, it has proven not to work effectively and adequately. As I
Mhm.
said, it has a limitation, a
And
great limitation.
a temporary, yeah, temporary measure for
Yes,
a
it is.
bad situation, really bad
That's right.
situation. And it is
Yes,
usually used as a scare tactic to
that's right.
kind of
You
just
can't
bring
you can't put a all island on SOE because you don't have
no,
the manpower to do that.
right,
You don't.
right. Mhm.
So when you put it in particular areas that where crime is escalating, the criminals run to other places. I mean, the guns they recovered recently in Trelawney. This man is moving from Israeli a Kingston man who
Mhm.
is moving to Montego Bay, to Trelawney, to Hanover. He's moving.
Mhm.
He's moving and he's moving with his firearms.
Mhm. But then let me ask you this though. The big one is suddenly we see this grand haul of heavy duty weapons.
Yeah.
Is this a game being played here? What do you get? What are you hearing? Because you're close enough to a lot of the players on the
Yes.
whichever side, the good side, the bad side, the middle, which are the people. What do you think is at
Yes.
play here right now? Because it's mind-boggling to say
Yes.
suddenly That's how.
People, yes, people on the ground are saying now that the government is under pressure to do something about crime, all of a sudden, these large quantities of firearm are being
I've never
recovered.
seen anything like this.
They're asking questions,
Mhm.
serious questions too.
So what are you picking up? What are you picking up? I don't want to say in the streets because you're a lady, they're like myself. But
No man,
you
I'm
come
in the
close
street.
to some of the players. What are you hearing?
I'm in the streets. Well, we really don't know. People are just asking those questions. How come all of a sudden? Where do these firearms come from? Where did the intel to recover them come from? And why just now? Why
But
all of a sudden?
is
Yes.
it? Is
So
it?
people are asking questions.
Because I kind of pick up something. Not going to say where I heard it from, but I'm picking up something that the cops knew all along that they could get it, but who their source? I don't want to say informant, but I want to put myself in that category. I said I am an informer because I believe when Jamaicans get to that point and everybody say I'm an
That's
informer,
right.
it's going to change the
Yes,
paradigm. Yeah.
that's right.
So I'm saying now I'm hearing that the police pretty much knows people who can who can tell them where the weapons are, but they're asking for something. They're asking for some money, and they
That's
were
right.
not offering it. Is it?
Yeah,
Did they
that is
start
true.
trying them before they made this announcement about this money? Because
It,
recently they talk
yes,
about giving
yes.
some money.
It is true. It is true that some persons, um, some police officers doing intelligent work, um, have been able to identify, um, where guns may be, but the persons, of course, Jamaica, who are giving the information want something in return. And it seems like that process has been very slow.
Mhm.
That is what is being said. I don't know the truth of it, but that is what is being said.
But recently we have heard the prime minister. I think it's the prime minister who said he has some money, some millions of dollars, and he's gonna. I even see people playing with it to say like $1 million for a gun. What do you think? Has he offered anything? Have you heard it? Because somebody's saying that.
No, some time ago, under the last government, there was an amnesty
Mhm.
in which people
E-
were offered money to bring in guns. There
Even
was
from far
some,
back as Michael Manley's time, it used to be.
yes,
Yes.
it was even so in, I think it was Portia
Mhm.
Simpson Miller,
Mhm.
or PJ, I can't remember.
Mhm.
And there was some amount of success, but the police say what they got were the older
Mhm.
firearms, not the new ones, not the new ones that people are saying are coming from Haiti and the United States, because those guns that were recovered in Trelawney this week or last week, they are pretty new
Mhm.
guns.
Mhm.
Even the ones that were recovered at the East Stadium,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, those were pretty good guns for, and in fact, for guns that were buried,
Mhm.
they couldn't have been buried for a long time because they showed no kind of deterioration,
Wow.
by being under the earth.
But that makes it even more suspicious to say they're in such pristine condition if these guns are being hidden over any length of time. And guns, people like the military and the police can tell you that you have to clean these guns regularly, even
Mhm.
when they're not hidden underground. When you have them carrying around regularly, you have to, clean the
Yeah,
barrels because it
yeah.
can create problems. So now that they so what, and so people are being skeptical about it.
Yes, there are some people who are skeptical about it.
Hmm.
I mean, glad that those are taken out of, use, and then there some people ask, are they really taken out of use?
That's
What
what
do
I'm
you
saying.
do?
Were they ever out there?
Yeah, what do you do with these guns when you recover them? What happens to them? Are they destroyed? Are they stored, um, it's a whole line of questions that are being asked by Jamaicans.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Let me do this just to kind of help people to understand where we are. We You're tuned into the program Under the Spotlight with your host Stafford Perkins and my guest QC Valerie Neita Robertson. We were supposed to have been joined by the young man Andre Stevens, but he had a problem this morning, and it seemed to have affected him badly. And he showed me some photos from early in the day, and even a video. He went, I think he was going live with it, and he was starting it up. And so he was really having a very bad issue with somebody. And so by the evening, maybe 2, 3 o'clock, he sent me that he didn't think he was going to be able to make it because he was in pain, and that his doctor had advised him to take some rest. So he even offered to join me on Tuesday. So I'm not so sure. Depends on what condition he's in and all of that. Then we would consider to do something. But I'm not going to push any issue right now. And to further just explain to people that we had a very bad late start because the link that I use for the platform that I use, the company name Restream, it's even on the desktop. I usually remove it, but because everything was so awry just now, I didn't get to adjust that. The link that I was able to get on, but my guest, Counsel QC Neita Robinson, wasn't able to get on, so we had to be issued a new link. I think the link got corrupted, and from last week they were working on it. I think they were working on it because I had that issue with I lost the sound. So maybe they were working on it and didn't complete what they were supposed to do. Maybe they changed the link or something and didn't give it to me. So when I went with it today, it just went. A bad situation got worse. So I did all I could to get it up, and by the time I got it going, it was almost an hour already. But I see a few people are joining, and hopefully we will get even up some kind of participation in
Yeah,
terms
we'll
of
be talking about a very important issue, which is the issue of crime. What do we do about it?
right. So with that, let's go back to that.
Yeah, so
No.
we were saying that
Mm-hmm,
you have to cauterize
mm-hmm,
the from the position of gangs.
mm-hmm,
You have to give the young people who they are recruiting
mm-hmm,
an alternative. And
mm-hmm,
what are those alternatives? They will tell you that community development, they want to see their communities a decent place where they can live, proper roads, proper housing, schools, community centers, play fields, um, um, etc., etc., good roads, proper water, lighting. They want a decent place to live. Remember, I was telling you about this community in it was actually Rio de Janeiro.
mm-hmm,
It's called favela,
mm-hmm,
Favela,
mm-hmm,
where crime was high
mm-hmm,
and people were afraid to go there because they would get killed. And
mm-hmm,
they started a program of upgrading the communities and painting up the houses.
mm-hmm,
People volunteered and went there and painted, and paint was given to persons in the community. And now it's a tourist attraction.
mm-hmm,
Crime, the crime has gone down, and people can go there. They have night activities, dances, music, etc., etc.
mm-hmm,
Communities very similar to our inner city communities,
mm-hmm,
and it works. So if ever there is an indication that uplifting the standard
mm-hmm,
of living of how people, the standard of how people live,
mm-hmm,
is very important to the issue of crime and violence.
mm-hmm,
You live
mm-hmm,
in a decent place, you're going to behave decently.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
So,
it's yeah, go ahead.
no,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Clifford.
It's something that I've asked on several occasions during this program, since I started doing this program, about the slum. I want to call them slum. They're probably not as slummy as they used to be. Maybe it's bad just the same
Some
back
of
in.
them are very bad. Some of
Yeah,
them are very bad.
as I remember in the '60s, that before, just after, with independence,
Right.
we had to deal with some serious situations. That's why Tivoli was built.
Yeah.
By somewhere in the '60s,
Yeah.
Tivoli
Well,
was
I
built.
must tell you, I don't know if you know the Grand Span area of
Yes,
St. Andrew. I
yes,
think the member of parliament there is Delroy Chuck,
yes.
and he started a program of removing zinc fences
Mhm,
and building walls around the houses rather than zinc fences. Well,
mhm,
first of all, the zinc fences not only is a bad look,
mhm,
but when the criminals are running away, they know which zinc to push and escape the police.
mhm,
And I believe if the statistics would show that that has improved the violence, the crime rate in Grand Spain. We
mhm,
hardly hear of shootouts, etc. There has been some improvement.
mhm, mhm. Once I went to Nassau. I think it might have been. I stayed in the place called Paradise Island, which is mainly tourists, thing. And I had a taxi man who was driving me. I said, "Oh, come." I didn't know, the dynamics of the place at that time. So I was asking, "How's it that I don't see anything like ghettos or shacks or anything?" But that place was set aside just for tourists, so there's no shacks there. But he said, apparently, at some point, people used to live there, and there were shacks. And he said the prime minister, remember Prime Minister Pindling?
Yes.
Pindling was the prime minister, and he said when he decided to rebuild that place, he said you have to take people out of that condition, those conditions, and give them a fresh start, and they will think differently. And
Precise.
we don't hear this kind of nonsense. Not that you don't have criminal activity in the Bahamas, because you do see these
You
guys
do,
with
but
drugs
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. Do you know it enough to know if they have any kind of ghettos in that anywhere in the on that those islands? Because they have like umpteen amount of islands. You know anything about it that much?
No, I've never
No.
visited. No.
Yeah, because we don't get that kind of stuff coming out of that place. You might hear that they catch a criminal coming from Jamaica or something, or the transshipment and that type of thing. But my
Well,
my
if you want the youth not to join the gangs, then there are some things you definitely have to do. Among
mm,
them, you have to look at education, because a
mm,
lot of them are not going to school. They drop out because they can't afford it. Their parents
mm,
can't afford it.
mm,
I think a report by the sociologist Herbert Gale at UWI says that um, the the majority of young people in these inner cities are busy on the road hustling to
mm,
support their families.
mm,
It's not the mother and father hustling. They are hustling
mm,
to support their mother, sister, brother, to support the home. So they
mm,
are on the streets, they're not going to school. No,
mm,
you can't improve your country if your literacy rate is high. We have to
mm,
do something about that.
mm,
Uh, so you're talking about education for the youth, so they understand why a gang is not a feasible alternative.
mm,
It's a road to a short life.
mm,
Training, skills training, um, teaching them how to start a business to earn money, giving them the opportunity to be able to work and earn.
mm,
And you're talking about um, re-socializing the young people, and even the parents, proper
mm,
parenting.
mm,
Where is the father? The absence of the father from the influence on the young men of the father, the male role in the community, even if the mother and father don't live together. There has to be legislation that requires the father to have a place in the male child's life, especially both male and female, but predominantly the young men. Um, so you have to look at those things. What do we do to create a better community? So because we're looking at reduction of crime. So you have to cauterize it from the end of the youth that are going to join the gangs. Then no, you have to look at the gangs that exist. Now that's the work of the police. And you know what you have to do to get them to perform adequately. So the police, you're looking at proper policing to apprehend those who have committed offenses and to bring them before the courts. And you're looking at the courts for proper, appropriate sentencing in each case, because you have to balance justice. You can't just be, a lot of Jamaicans feel that the resolution is sending them away for life or hanging them. No, you can't be extreme. Justice, the citizens of this country expect justice, and justice is not labeled by extremes. Then you have to look, as I said, appropriate sentencing. And while in custody, you have to look at reform, resocialization, literacy training, psychiatric assessment to see which of them, because I am sure that some of the crime that is being carried out, something is mentally wrong. There is a mental deficiency in some of those young men.
You have
And
been,
you have got appropriate treatment for them.
yeah, you have been at this for a very long time. How many years have you been an attorney?
44 years.
44 years. And you're mainly with, is it criminal law?
Yes, and I have to deal with these young men every day.
But
And
have you ever seen it this bad?
no, but I knew it was getting there, because when I have to speak to these young men, when I have to look at the home condition they live in, when I have to speak to them, go in depth as to what is creating this criminal mind. All of these are issues that are raised. And unless, if we had attacked this 20 years ago, we would not be where we are today. We are reaping what we sow.
So when you talk to some of these young people, because you actually get to talk to them. I don't know how many, per month or a year or whatever. When you get a chance to talk to them, what are you picking up? Do you pick up any sense of remorse in them, or is it that it's a trophy to be in jail and that kind of, what are you picking up?
Well, a lot of them feel that that's their lot in life. That they will be shot and killed, if not by opposing gangs, by persons within the gang or the police. They don't expect to live long, and it's very, very sad. And I have said it over and over, and a lot of women are upset with me. I'm not a feminist, but I deal with reality. A lot of the problems we have is poor parenting. The mothers in this country cover for these young men. They cover up for them. And at the end of the day, I just can't understand the mentality to protect their sons and their baby father and their nephews. I can't understand, because at the end of the day, they're going to lose them. You lose them to either prison, or you lose them to gun violence. Yes. But that's why I say we have to go in the communities and teach proper parenting.
But that is that's more like a socialist approach. We're not going to get that from this government.
Well, I wish they would look at it. I mean, there's so many institutions at Stafford. There are a lot of institutions around that can come together and effectively attack that problem. The educational system can teach proper parenting. Remember the days when there was illiteracy, man, and we used the schools in
Yeah,
the evening
the
to do
drama.
Jamal? Didn't we get some improvement? We did.
Big, tremendous improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why we can't use them again? Why we can't use what we have
Mhm.
to to
And,
address the issue of proper parenting?
and one of the things I think, I don't want to use the word children, but even kids, but young people, they mature at a very earlier age than say in our time, because if you're a teenager, you couldn't even talk back to 17 or 18, you can't talk back to your parents. These
That's right.
kids, when they reach 18, 17, 18, they are men and women having babies and going out to work.
Yes.
Um, but is it that we hear talk about extending school for 2 more years? But I've not, I don't know if there's any such place that does anything like that. Because what I think would be more for them to focus on is to say by the time this child or the children reach the say 14, 15, they start learning some kind of trade, because I think that
Well,
what leads to some of the
Stafford,
frustration.
I don't understand our educational system. Because
Mm,
you have a kid in grade one,
mhm,
grade seven, that is high school,
mm,
and that kid can barely read and write, as the report by Mr. Pattison recently. You read
mm.
that report on our
No,
educational system?
understandable. Mm,
No, man, I
mm,
have to send it to you.
mm,
He says in 2019, when the students sat PEP, that's
mm,
primary school and prep school students sit in PEP to go to high school. 50 odd percent of them,
I
56
remember, I
or
heard it.
59,
Yes,
yes,
yes, I heard it.
were half illiterate or illiterate.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. That's
So when you
crazy.
take a child from primary school, they have to go to high school by age 12. Why, if they
Mhm.
can't read? How they
Yes.
passing through the system, they go
Mm.
to the high school, they can't learn anything because they can barely read. The
Yeah.
teacher has to be spending time in high school to teach them
Remedial.
to read
Yes.
because they can't
Yes.
understand reading subjects, history,
Yes.
geography, science. They cannot read. So
Yeah.
why are you sending a student up? Because of age. You
Mm.
matriculate
Yeah.
when you have the ability to matriculate.
Yeah.
You don't go because of your age. When
Yeah.
did we reach there?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you have to have remedial classes for those kids who can't read, we just have to put it into the system.
Well, what I'm thinking though, with that education part of it,
And you remember 2019 was not a year with COVID. So they
right?
can't blame that on COVID.
Yeah. I actually taught for a while, and I know when I see when I taught at about two levels, the middle school and the high school, and when they're in middle school, you find them sharper than even when they go to kind of when they reach high school, they kind of get lazy and they stay up late at night and things like that. So I'm thinking the emphasis on teaching them. I mean, we now have to do remedial to try to address this very ugly situation. But the place, and I've heard, especially, I don't want to pick on any one party or like I'm pointing fingers at anybody, but I know that early childhood, even with Peter Phillips when he was here doing his thing, he talked about early childhood. And
Yeah.
if you can catch these children when it's best you catch them at that even
Yes.
3 years
Well,
old.
the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association has been saying over the past week, and I believe he has been saying it for a long time, that we need to put money into the basic schools
Mhm.
so that our teachers can be properly trained and that the
Mhm.
kids can be properly taught at that early age. So
Mhm.
you're right about starting it early.
Yeah, and it was happening because I don't know what happened. What went is it that they dropped the ball also with education? Because I know there was a point when these children were a lot of them, a lot of basic schools were flying up all over the place, and then the government stepped in and said they were taking over, these
That you have
schools.
to be registered. Yeah, you have to register them.
Yeah, because my I have a
Teachers,
brother.
teachers are untrained
Yeah, my
because
brother
they
got
can't
to school
afford to go and get the training.
who has left us now, but he started a school out in St. Elizabeth, First Step Basic School, somewhere up in Topil First Step Basic School, and it's like it's a shining star up on a hill. And the minute these people came in, they just swooped down on him and like took over, to take it as a prize, to say, as if they had anything to do with it. And this man he actually built it out of his pocket.
Yeah.
He would go and he would beg here, beg there, beg, just for these. He wouldn't
Well,
beg for
I can
himself.
tell you from experience in West Portland when I was um, running there for the member of parliament position. There was a school, a basic school, that the teachers were getting no salary,
Hmm.
no salary, Stafford, and they
Hmm.
were there every day,
And they would go every day.
and they would go every day, and they are
Mm.
not funded. The only person who got paid by government was the principal.
Yeah.
Now,
Is that,
just
is that
digest that.
something? Is that stupid?
It is absolutely. I never knew it was so bad. I was shocked. And
Because
kids learn very fast when they're in the 4, 5, 6, 7
think of,
age group.
just think of all the monies that have been misappropriated, billions of dollars. They
Mhm.
could have paid these teachers over the last 4 years, and we would be seeing the
The
results today.
results, yeah,
With
yeah.
no with the kid with the teachers hungry, they can't teach if they're hungry. They don't
Instead,
have.
they're attacking the problem by adding 2 more years to school.
Yeah. And then say, you're gonna. I can't.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I would not want to be in a classroom with boys, both of them, girls and boys, who turn 18, 19. I mean, they're scary enough at 16, 17 already. I would not want to be. I can't imagine how these young people who are teaching, how they deal with it. Because they're big and their voice change, and they're very angry because they have their hormones, tripping them out, and they're not. You have to use expert people to deal with these
And
young,
they're not literate. They have,
and then they're illiterate,
yes,
compounding that problem.
yes.
So now,
Because how can they learn? How can they enjoy school?
exactly, because they're thinking about girls, thinking about boys, boys thinking about
Because they can't read. The teacher
themselves.
is
They
teaching
don't want to
them.
be near anything near learning. They know
Yes.
what they want to go do. Yeah,
That's right.
I remember there's a story with this kid. His mother used to leave him. I think somewhere out in Duane Park or one of those. The poor mother used to leave him every day, and he would pretend like he's gone to school. And then the minute she's on the bus and gone, he turns back with all his girlfriends and go in the house and have a party every day.
Of
You know.
course.
So now, like, you give them that older age. What do you expect? You're gonna have so many children out of wedlock, and people doing all kinds of crazy things to relieve themselves of a problem of two, three children at 20 and 30 years old. You know. But let me ask you: is there any particular thing that you're working on now that you would want to talk about? Any exciting projects you're working on? Any?
Well, I am presently with some young people, um, my son's friends, and him too. Although he's overseas. I'm working on a project, um, which I'm going to use in an area I haven't chosen yet. Um, it's an agricultural project
Mhm.
where we plan to interview some young men and choose the ones with the right attitude and teach them how to grow foods hydroponic using water because you don't need a lot of space
Mhm.
and get the expertise, which we already have, to train them to do this, but not just growing. We have to train them to be able to manage a business, which will include marketing, accounting, um, knowing what to do with their profit, etc., etc., etc. with the hope that it will give them an alternative means of 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 earning a living. Because to my mind, technology and food are the two most important things now. You have to eat.
Mhm.
You have to eat. And technology is going so fast
Mhm.
that if you're trained in it, there's likely to be a place for you to get a job.
Mhm.
And if you excel in it, that's even better. So, but we are importing 70% of the food that we eat in Jamaica, and I believe that if we can combine the technology
Mhm.
with the agriculture, we can get some youth interested in it. Because they're not no longer interested in the machete and fork um, agricultural. Yes, so I'm working on that. It's in the beginning stages, but as soon as we get it off the ground and we see it running, we are hoping that it can be reproduced in other inner city communities.
Mhm. Um, Somebody is making a comment, Miss Yvonne May Wallace. She's pointing out that in Spanish Town, everywhere you walk, there is garbage and smelly, dirty drains.
Yes,
And
that's
this
so
is a
true.
lady I know. She lived in England, so I can't even imagine. She moved home and she moved
Yes,
from a place like a developed country like England back in
yes,
Jamaica. Have to put up with stuff like this.
yes.
And she says it's hard for children to learn when they probably
But
don't.
Spanish Town is one of our um, renowned um, towns of the past with fabulous architecture, Spanish architecture, etc. And the condition in which is at is the same condition as our city.
Mhm.
Downtown is horrible.
Mhm.
Stafford, downtown is a disgrace.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
city, the front of our island. When you sail into the harbor, when you land at the airport,
Yes.
and that is what is facing the public. Come on.
Yes.
Remember, Baltimore had a similar problem as we have in downtown, and they have done a lot of work to improve it. And people have been moving into Baltimore and buying property and developing property and building up the city. Why can't we do that?
Yeah. Yeah, but you see, that is where it goes back to what I'm saying, what I've been saying, that it's not just this, yeah, you would have to start there first because you do have these antique style, type settings, and they just leave them to just rot and fall apart.
Man,
And
fall
and
apart.
so and it goes back to again with the people. If you keep them in these slummy conditions, you're not going to get any better. I don't know what. Could you hold on? Let me just see what you. I don't know why he's saying. Yes, you there? 1 second. What was that? No, we're up and running and it's working. I don't see any. If you're on YouTube, and I think it's working on Facebook too. I think everywhere it's working. It we had an issue where it appears to me like something went wrong with the links. It got corrupted. Yeah, it's like an hour. It was an hour. Yeah, it was like an hour before we got started, but it's good now. It has been going, and we're almost getting close to pulling down the curtains because it's 53. Yes, and it's working good. It was something to do with a link that got corrupted. It appears, and they had to send me a new link, and it works since. Yes, yes, we're still on. All right. So if you join, I'm still there. Go. You can go Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. Any one of them. It's running. I can see all of them. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Any one of them you go to. All right. Let's go to Stafford Perkins. All right. Yeah. All right. So sorry about that because I realized he had a problem. So
I was trying to get on, yeah.
yes, but it has been working for because I can see all of them. I'm watching all of them. So So I think I want to. The thing is, we have to attack it from a very fundamental, in a very fundamental way. We have to decide what we want. If we want to brag about having a big bank account and the children are hungry and ignorant, are we going to spend some of the money and in 5 to 6 years we start turning out better people, well-trained people? Because here's one of the silly things that is happening in Jamaica. You see, when a man leaves Jamaica and he's a mason, he's a mechanic, he's a
Bus
tire,
driver.
a tire, not even so much about, yeah, that you can always get it, but even if he can drive a bus, you see the
Not
minute he lands here in
yeah.
America, he has a
Mhm.
job and he has a well-paying job. And
That's right.
this and the pay, but not to mention the nurses, the doctors. Why are we holding back on producing more nurses, more doctors? Because once they come here, train them, send them out. Because once they come here, they have the mother, they have the parents, they have their brothers and their sisters. They're gonna keep sending money. So if you think you see money yet, train these people because they want to come out of Jamaica, but train them. And a lot of times, after a while, when they come, they want to come back home. So they're going to buy a house. They're going to build a nice house because when they return to Jamaica, they want to go somewhere nice. They don't want to come back into the shack that they were living in before. So the thing is for somebody to have that vision, that insight to say that what we're doing is foolish. We're hoarding up this money. Oh, we have this big NIR in a net international reserve when we don't need to have more than so much. But they're
But
padding this bill.
Stafford, 70% of what we consume is being
And
imported.
it's being yeah. So no, I think
Crazy.
where I kind of went um came up on this is to say that if we don't get the people trained, we're not, as you were saying before, we're not using hoe and fork and those things. The little man with a little garden can use a hoe and a fork. But even if I were doing a little backyard garden and I have, say, a quarter acre to do, I'm going to buy a little tiller because I don't want to be, breaking my back,
That's
damaging
right.
my hands, or that
That's
kind
right.
of thing. And you have to be able to read to use the machine.
That's
And
right.
chemicals, you have to be able to read to say which chemical you mix with what and what.
That's right.
It's kind of foolish the way they're going about it by setting back this program, by trying to say how much money they have saved up. You see people live like that. They're misers. They hoard money, but they don't eat properly, and then they get sick and they die and they leave all the money. So this is what is happening now. You're producing a generation of illiterate people, and at the end of the day, you're not going to have a country because already we are seeing it. Because these kids, they, they can't think, and it has created this big, ugly mess. So I'm just saying, who is there you see in Jamaica that you would say, boy, if we see this person at the we might see a Michael Manley again or something. What is it? Is there anybody
I
you see
can't. I'm sorry,
on
sir.
the horizon, on the landscape, on anywhere?
I cannot answer that question for you at all. I can just say that somebody will emerge. I don't know when and who it will be, but
I my
until
my
that
person,
until that happens, we the people need to do something about it, and I believe that we can. We cannot wait on government.
well, listen, let me tell you something. You know why Andre is so popular? People are looking for somebody to break it
Yes,
down.
yes.
And
To talk the truth.
and Andre,
Talk the truth.
yes, Andre has set off something. And
Yeah.
any day, I'm more, because he's very intelligent. Any day you have somebody who might understand the politics some more, because think about Buster Manley and Norman Manley and Michael Manley in their time. Did they just sit in a sofa and sit back and waiting for something to happen? These
No.
these guys went in the street. Do you remember what Michael Manley did as a young man when he was coming? You remember in Half a Tree what he did in Half a Tree?
Yes.
He
Yes.
locked down Half a Tree, lay down flat on his back in the middle of Half a Tree. Which one of these people you see show that kind of stuff?
No,
Yeah,
not
they don't even want to talk. Some of them refuse to talk. They're scared of saying, I don't want to talk to you. You think that you know how many of them I tried to get on this program and they refuse to come on? Because they
they're
don't
afraid of them,
like people
their
talking to
shadows.
you and that kind of
Yeah,
nonsense.
they're afraid to talk
They're
because
scared as
they
hell.
don't want to be victimized. They don't want to be, yeah,
So when a little Andre comes and anything he says, unfortunately, he has some issues and makes him kind of go off sometimes. But
yes,
I understand, and I don't discriminate against because it's mental thing goes a little awry, and he knows it and he admits to it. But what he's doing is speaking up and taking action, and people, those who have the power in their hands, who can lead the people. Because I'm going to tell you, Jamaica need a revolution. It's not going to get any better. Somebody has to come and overthrow this thing. No matter what Uncle Sam or England or Canada wants to say, we have to break down this madness because we're not going anywhere. People are not feed, they're not eating, they're not learning, they're not, no school, no poor health system. The
yes,
people, it's making no sense. So
yes.
every time
And
I
yet
watch
the tourists keep coming because we are such a beautiful
different
place.
place, and
But they're
then and then
confined to the hotels.
but then
Uh,
you lock them up inside of the hotel. You
yeah,
can't let them
yeah,
come out on the street because they're gonna be eaten. This is
that's
what the
right.
white man used to say before. We're
Yeah,
gonna be eaten, cooked
yeah,
by the natives. So that you
yeah.
lock them up in the hotel. Which I don't even know another country that I've gone to where I have to hide off like that. I went to
That's right.
Ethiopia. I spent like 3 weeks in Ethiopia. The people who were taking me around, they were more nervous for me than I was nervous about myself because we went out into the marketplace. Now in Africa, the market is a big thing. It's the biggest thing in Africa. Markets.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
markets are not a little thing that is closed up in a little building. Markets are just big open space. Some of them have nice structures and everything. But you get to mingle with the people. I went to I think it was might have been Costa Rica or Panama, one of those street ones. Costa Rica or Panama. I went there, it's Panama, and I went into the market. It's more like Jamaican market where the building and they're in there.
Mhm.
So when the people talk, all I heard was Jamaican accent. That there's a
Really?
huge Jamaican population in Panama, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Nicaragua.
Yes,
Huge
that's
Jamaican.
in.
The ones who
I know
left,
of a big. I know of a large one in Nicaragua. That's
they
true.
left Jamaica to go work on the canal and never came. The accent is the same. They cook the same way. They sell the same food. The yellow
Well,
yam.
the boat that sunk off the coast of Florida the other day. There were
Mm,
Jamaicans on it.
yeah. Yes.
Jamaicans are fleeing their country
Yes.
for a
Yes.
better life.
Yes. Yes. But these Jamaicans that I saw in those places, they were from the building of the canal. They were there forever. And
Oh,
they're,
for a
they're
long time.
living their lives. They're nice. They're easy
Mhm.
because they're law and order. And people are being sent. They're sent to school to
Yes,
get proper schooling. This
that's
nonsense that is going on, that is we're compromising because we want to show a big fat bank account to say, oh, we did so well with the IMF and all that kind of stuff. And the people, what kind of people are you producing? Criminals.
that's right.
So Miss Valerie, the question I was asking you though, is in terms of your work as a accountant at Queen's Counsel, is there any big projects you're working on at this time in that way that
Oh,
you
you
would be
mean case?
yeah, a case? Is there that you want to mention or anything like that?
Many of them, but quite a
Tell me at
few
least one
right
big
now.
one. Yeah?
But I'm not permitted to
To
speak
say, all right, all right.
until the trial is completed.
Okay,
So
okay.
we
Well,
are
I see my
on the
motion.
way to trial in a
Yeah,
number of, yes,
I was
which
trying to bait you into talking, but I didn't succeed. Yes.
no, no.
I know it's a big one, but I
Mhm.
really want to thank you for coming on.
Well, I'm,
And
I'm, I'm representing Miss Tamika Taylor,
Tamika,
who
that name
is
sounds
the
familiar.
sergeant of police
Okay.
who alleges that she's
Some kind of
victim of
misdeeds.
sexual harassment,
Yes,
victimization.
yes.
So we'll see how that one goes.
And I think, what is said about that, I'm not getting a feeling like Jamaican, especially the women of Jamaica, they should be out in the streets on this one because she's alone. They have left her alone. And I don't know, we just become this docile, barkless people. What? I don't know what happened, because that when I read that one,
Yes.
I said, this lady's not lying. She would
Well,
not.
the parliament has been dragging their feet for a long time on the sexual harassment legislation.
Mhm,
I thought it would have been passed by now because there really is a need for it in Jamaica.
mhm.
Yes, but
Oh, by the way, this is sorrel without sugar. Then you're
oh, very good drink.
it's not like me, but I had to find something fast to calm my nerve down with the help of a little bit of Mr. Charlie. I just put something in give it so it can taste good.
It helps. It helps.
Yeah, and that's calmed me down a lot because I was really like, you know, frazzled by what was happening, because I couldn't. This is just about the worst I've seen it, but I suspect what happened is
So
the
I
worst.
guess you'll be putting this on YouTube. So
It's there. Yeah, it's already
some
there. I just have to go and edit out
some
the
more
front part.
comments because
It's
I'd
up
love
there
to.
already. Yeah, yeah. But I'm
Yes,
not
I'd
worried
love
about
to
that. It's there.
see what the
And
people think.
somebody wants to know what is going on with the crime. You have given some perspective, and we
Mm.
really appreciate it. And look forward to something more on it in the not too distant future. All right.
Yeah.
Again,
Well,
I just want
we
to say
need to hear a crime plan, and the crime plan can't be that they put in $1 billion more,
in
one
SOE.
billion dollars into the police force,
Yeah,
in terms of equipment. Come on,
yeah, yeah,
this is not a solely a equipment issue, nor is it solely a problem for the police.
yeah,
There are other things that have to be used,
yes,
to be done
yes,
to cauterize the crime. As I
yes,
said before, containment on one
yes,
hand and reduction on the
yes,
other hand.
yes, yes. And I don't know. We have seen in
You think
America.
you think one of the parties will make me Minister of National Security?
I guess because of the stupidity of the whole thing, they will put an accountant to become a national security minister. And sometimes I think, because it's not a sexy job, you have to deal with. But then if you get a national security ministry, and you don't get it has it has to go hand in hand with other things. And if they're
Yes,
already throw you out there and say you are the
there
national security
has to
minister,
be a
and,
coordination with
and the
some.
social structures are left
That's right.
untouched.
Ministry of
And
Education, Ministry of Water, and Works.
mhm.
It has to be a coordinated
Yeah,
effort.
everything has to be there because the housing you have to have.
Yes,
Where did people like Anthony Spalding go?
he died.
I know he died, but I'm saying, what about people like him with that kind of brain to know
That's right. A
to
doer.
go
He
and
was a
build
doer.
those houses?
He was a doer. He wasn't a talker. He was a doer.
Yes,
He built the most houses that any other minister,
yes,
JLP or PNP.
yes,
But he came from humble. He
yes,
came from working class
yes.
family, so he knew
I
what it was like not to have a decent house.
Yeah, I can't imagine what Jamaica might have been or become had he been given a chance after Sir Michael
I,
Manley.
I say it all the time, Stafford.
Yeah, yes.
I say it all the time.
And they will come back a second time. I would say a similar thing happened to Peter Phillips.
That's right.
The people who have that ability to pull the thing together, they don't
Mm,
get a chance to do it. Michael got his chance and he did great. People
that's
might
right.
talk nonsense what they want to
Oh
talk,
yeah.
but
He
he's such a
recognized the needs of the working class people, and he put in legislation and other things to give them a push.
mhm,
And that will always be what it is. History will
yeah.
show that he did a lot for the working class.
And
In fact, I think he committed class suicide.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
never died he never died a wealthy man.
No, no. But you know what?
Father.
His legacy. will live on for much, much longer because I don't know if you realize it. The man they call Kwame Nkrumah,
Yes.
he was a Michael Manley, and he
Mm-hmm.
was calling for the unification of Africa from back in the 60s, 50s, 60s. And he never got the chance. But you know what? The most read and respected and revered and followed human being on the continent of Africa right now is Kwame Nkrumah. Everybody is has to learn Kwame Nkrumah. He's becoming the philosopher of Africa right now. So Michael Manley will, in time, when people start to look at, just the way Marcus Garvey came and established himself and become this great um, icon, I think Michael will get there too because we have not seen anybody else like him. And these imposters who come to say they're leaders is just ridiculous. Again, I think we have to wrap it up now because I don't want to go too long with it. We already have 1 minute, 1 10 minutes. Some of it will be clipped off, maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes. But I want to thank you again. I want to say to the people that we started late by no fault of mine. I would cuss every week when something goes wrong, but something went wrong with the link for my guest, and it also affected the going live on YouTube. It actually was going live on YouTube, but I wasn't seeing it in some places, and it kind of threw me off. But the truth of the matter is, we persevered and put the program together, and it will be on YouTube. And we encourage each and everyone to take a listen and to say maybe later on if they want to comment and tell me what do they think about what was discussed and how best we can do to move forward and to build a better Jamaica. Again, you've been listening to Under the Spotlight with your host Stafford Perkins, and my guest was Miss Valerie Neita Robertson. We should have been joined by the young man, the dynamo, Mr. Andre Stevens, but unfortunately, he had some situation earlier today and it kind of threw him off. So hopefully one day I can put something together again and bring him and he can blow up the place some more, light up the place like he usually does. And because I believe he's a very special force in our life right now, and nothing can stop him, no matter what they try or do. All right. Thank you for joining. Thank you for staying with me. And we will continue to serve you on a Sunday evening as much as is humanly possible. Thank you. Have a great night. Bye.